Dude, I mean, I'm loving the office setup. It looks slick. You can tell that you got your shit together, for lack of a better term, you know?
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. It's a little space. I just moved out here, so I got nothing hung up yet. So it's kind of empty, but I'll start I'll start making it mine.
There you
Yeah,
go. I mean,
it's
you got the key component back there, which is the piano, which, I would urge anybody who wants to follow Moose on Instagram. It's Moose_777. Got to follow him on Instagram and check out his little man jamming that piano, dude. It's great.
crazy, right? He, he's just it's actually like a two for one. Two for one. He's able to stand up now. He stands up and he plays. He can't even see the keys, but he's uh, playing it.
How old is he?
8 months.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Super fresh. What, I mean, this is an impossible question to answer, and I know that going in, but how has fatherhood kind of changed your life? I mean, I've been following you on Instagram for a little while now, and it's pretty clear that that's, your world, man. What's that change been like for you?
It's been a huge change, but it's definitely a blessing. But I mean, there's a lot. I mean, when he first when he first was born, it was tough, really tough. Obviously you have a newborn, you're not getting any sleep. You're trying to figure out all these little nuances and things that you never even thought of before. Because before you're kind of self-absorbed. What's best for me? What do I feel like doing? What I feel like going to eat right now. Then your whole life becomes this baby won't stop crying. What do I need to do? Do I need to burp them? Do I need to feed them? Like, what's going on? All these little things. Um, so that's the first part. But then as he got older, he starts communicating and he starts kind of giving you that feedback. You really start to appreciate it, and kind of look at life a little different, and also learn to kind of appreciate your parents and everything they've done for you, and things like that. So I'd say that's been the main thing, just kind of looking at my son like, wow, man, my dad had me around this age, or maybe a little older, but a couple years older, but he was kind of in the same predicament. My dad was fighting as well. He had a kid, and had to take care of him. And so it just made me kind of step back and like give my pops a thank you.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, man. And I'm not a father, nor am I a fighter, but I would imagine that being on a career path like this, like fighting, you see so many dudes say, if you want to get to the top, it has to basically be your whole life. Like, you have to be all in, you have to be 100% bought in. So I can't imagine how hard that is to balance new fatherhood with an actual fighting career. So like, what challenges have you kind of come across with that, and how have you been able to navigate it?
Yes, I think that's definitely a hurdle for a lot of people. My dad was a boxer, and at a certain point, he had to kind of put that on hold for us, and he was working as well, trying to save up money and obviously to give us everything, that we needed. So there's obviously a hurdle there, but also like you said, fighting, man, it's a tough sport, tough on your body. After you get done training, you just want to go home and
Yeah.
rest, relax. But when I come home, I got an energetic kid ready to play. So I have to be ready to make time for him. Um, but for me, it hasn't been the hardest because I've been able to um, I started a company. I'm able to have different sources of income, so I'm not working a full-time job. I couldn't imagine you know having a kid, working a full-time job, and trying to be a good father. My dad was doing that. I'm sure a lot of other fighters are doing that. So just fighting alone and then coming home and having time with the kid, for me, it's a blessing that I'm able to kind of uh, I got stuff going on where I'm able to make some money and pay the bills, and also have a lot of free time. So it's just a great, especially here at State College, it's a great situation for me.
Yeah, man.
Have time for the family.
No, that's incredible. And for people maybe just joining the podcast or just getting caught up, this is I'm gonna probably butcher your last name, man, and I apologize for that. My last name's Homistek, so I'll like make you feel a little better about it because everybody always messes up my last name too. So now it's like my chance to ruin somebody's last name. But we're here with Musa Alsulaimani, and
That was really good.
nice, nice. I'm proud of myself right now. So he went to Penn State. He was the 2019 national champion boxer out of Penn State, two-time All-American, and now he's training at ATT Happy Valley alongside, all those studs there: Bo Nickal, Anthony Cassar, Jason Nolf, all those guys there at ATT Happy Valley, and he's 1-0 in his young MMA career. And I'm going to just show the finish for everybody. I think I can share my screen here. So I got your finish pulled up on Instagram. I'm going to share it because, like I just said, national champion boxer making his MMA debut. You can probably guess how this is going to go, right? All right, let's share this boy. Boom. All right. Yeah, exactly what you expect. Boxer making his MMA debut. He goes out and guillotines a dude. This is beautiful. I think also, I know there was no audio on that, but if you do play the audio, one of my favorite parts is I think it's your opponent's corner saying he doesn't have it, he ain't got it, he ain't got it. So it's kind of funny because obviously you had it, but dude, that's crazy because it just goes to show kind of the training there at ATT Happy Valley, right? Like I expect obviously anybody who knew about you going into that fight thought it would be a knockout, or that you would handle it on the feet, which you did wobble him right before that, and that's kind of why he shot. You can tell from the video, but what was it like to go out and get a freaking submission in your MMA debut?
It was crazy. It was cool, but just like you said, goes back to the training, and it's kind of to add on to that. Bo that night wound up knocking his guy out.
Yeah.
So he's obviously a great wrestler, and then he got the knockout. And then a little bit before that, I submitted the guy as a boxer, and obviously that was kind of the thing that night. The commentators were saying, we got the boxer got the submission, and then the wrestler got the knockout. But yeah, that just kind of shows, how we have, a lot of really talented specialist guys at the gym, and we're kind of, picking each other's brains, and we're, we got people from ends of the spectrum, and we're kind of, starting to come together and kind of try to cross those paths. But the submission itself, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, it was a crazy experience going from boxing to MMA. It was in the ring, so it was I felt right at home in that aspect. But just all the training and everything. I mean, I went in really confident and ready to go. I mean, definitely in the beginning of the fight, it came out wild. Threw a big shot, and it's sometimes when things are a little unorthodox, it kind of throws you off, because obviously I've gone against maybe a sharper technical boxer in that way, and sometimes they'll come really sharp, and you got to be on your P's and Q's. But this guy just came swinging, really no technique. But in a way, sometimes that can be difficult because you're like, dang, I haven't seen this since the amateurs really young, when we had guys just swinging, and since then, the level gets pretty technical, and so when he came out swinging, I was like, all right, this is a little different than what I'm used to, but I'm used to seeing the punches coming, kind of avoided it, and kind of engaged. And then, like you said, after I hit him, he shot in, and then that's when everything that all the new training with Bo and our coaches, Coach Marcel, and all our other guys in the gym, just going with them, kind of just clicked, sprawled out, jumped on the guillotine. I actually kind of when I sprawled out and I had him, I was thinking in my head, all right, I'm going to just push the head, let him back up. And it was like, you know what? Like, this is MMA now. Let me just get, knees deep right now and just jump into it.
That's hilarious, man. Because I mean, most boxers transitioning over would do exactly what you said, avoid the ground at all costs. But I mean, it just circles back, like you said, Coach Marcel obviously does an incredible job with you guys there at ATT. And it's cool, man. What I think is really, really awesome about what you guys have going on there is you basically said it, but it's like Bo, obviously his wrestling, you don't get much better at wrestling than Bo Nickal and the rest of the guys you have there. You know, all these national champions, that's, you know, as good as it gets for you. And then you're bringing the boxing side, the stand up. You guys, your stand up coach as well, obviously, is incredible Muay Thai. It's a really interesting blend of people for somebody like you, who a national champion boxer coming into MMA. Everybody would know right away what's he need to work on the most. Probably his wrestling. I mean, what better way to get wrestling, you know, to get up to speed wrestling than to go with Bo Nickal every day, man? What's it been like for you, that process, in terms of, did it feel like you got thrown into the deep end, you know, too quickly, or was it just from day one like, okay, man, this is where I'm at now. I got to learn, or I'm just never going to develop?
No, I didn't feel like I was, thrown in too deep, because obviously Bo's a great training partner, great to work with. And, you know, he kind of brought me in and started showing me the ropes early. And I had a lot of other guys, my buddy Levko, who was wrestled at Penn State. He took me in even a little bit before then and really showed me the ropes, the technique, true wrestling technique. And things like that. And then, we have our coaches, Coach Marcel, Coach Ton, and it really wasn't a crazy transition. But like you said, in the beginning, I saw it as a great opportunity for me. I mean, I've fought all my life, so it's not, even though it's a different, martial art and, wrestling compared to boxing. I think there's a lot of crossover in terms of the mentality you have to have, the mindset. So a lot of that carried over, and that's just that competitiveness to want to compete. But then obviously there's levels and there's steps that you have to take when learning something new. And they did a great job of kind of just, bringing me in little by little, learning new stuff every day, starting to go. And there's tons of guys in there from, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, all kinds of different levels. So you kind of build your way up,
Absolutely, man. What made you choose, going for a career in MMA versus pro boxing? I mean, that's kind of the obvious transition for you. What made you kind of come this way?
Yeah, I had some people reach out and try to get me to sign with a boxing promotion. But one of the reasons, I got to know Bo for a little bit. He kind of shared his aspiration in MMA, and I thought that was really interesting. And then about my senior year of college, I started, getting into wrestling a little bit. Where I'm from, Philadelphia, wrestling is not a big thing at all. My high school, we didn't even have wrestling.
Wow.
I mean, we didn't have it in middle school, any local rec centers or anything. There was no wrestling. It's all boxing, football, basketball. So growing up, I just was not exposed to that. And then when I met Bo, I went to one of the matches, and I'm like, damn, this is cool. This is a cool environment, especially at Penn State Rec Hall. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I want to get involved, like learn something new. So I went to the club, Penn State club, started working with some of those guys, and they kind of showed me the ropes. And little by little, I just kind of fell in love with it, started naturally picking some things up. And then from then, Bo shared his, his future goals in terms of, going into MMA. And I kind of just see it as just an opportunity. In boxing, a lot of times there's guys that I grew up with, that were 16 years old, 17 years old, they turn pro right away. They don't take the college route, because a lot of those guys, especially where I'm from, they're either they go right into working, or they turn to fighting, and they need to pay the bills. So they're not going to wait until they're, 22 or 23, 24. They're going to go right, either try to go to the Olympics right away, and then turn pro. So a lot of those guys are turning pro at 16, and, I mean, there's some guys like there's a guy who's a world champion right now, who was one of the first guys I ever sparred. He's just now getting his getting a title shot. He actually got a title shot. He won the belt. But there's guys like that, so a lot of training partners that they're now just getting it, and they turn pro at 16 years old. So
Wow.
that's 10 years of experience, and they're just now getting that shot. So for me, coming out of college at 23 years old, to start there, obviously I'll have a jump with the background I have, but we're still talking a long time to get fights and try to get a title shot at like 30 something.
Yeah.
Like that. It's kind of crazy, but so it's and MMA, it seems a little bit better in that aspect where you can kind of get in there, leave your mark, and hopefully try to get a title shot a little earlier. You don't have to wait 15 years to try to get a big fight.
Absolutely. It's super interesting, man. I think that's a really cool transition for you to acknowledge that. And, that's credit to Bo and everybody around you as well, kind of helping you out, obviously. But what you said, something super interesting there I wanted to touch on. When you went to the wrestling club, which everybody knows, how elite that wrestling club is there. And you said you liked it at first. Most dudes, I don't think, like wrestling right away, especially getting into it late. Most guys start wrestling when they're 3 years old, basically, and then that's their lifestyle. They get it. But everybody always talks about the grind of a wrestler being so different. And I know a lot of guys who come over to MMA from other backgrounds and they loathe wrestling day at the gym, like they just don't want to wrestle. What was it about wrestling that you said you actually enjoyed it? Like, that's surprising to me to hear that you liked it. What was it about it?
I don't know. I kind of enjoyed, but I really enjoyed the technical aspect of it, even in boxing. When I'm coaching people, I really like to coach the really solid technique and fundamentals. And Levko started working with me, started really technical, just the basics. And so that was interesting in the beginning, because it's a very technical sport, and for me, just watching it in the beginning, it's like all these two guys are just like trying to slam each other, when in reality that's the farthest thing from it. It's a lot of technique, and really fundamentally, just you have to be fundamentally sound to be a good wrestler, especially at a high level. But also, I enjoyed kind of using what I've learned in boxing to kind of set myself apart a little bit, in a way where I kind of, there's some I watch some wrestlers, and I like to take what they're good at, but then also maybe add a little boxing footwork in there, and head movement, try to slip under an arm, and things like that. So it was really interesting for me to maybe have a little success at certain things that people are like, wow, I've never seen that before. I've never seen someone like shoot in like a boxer, or use my hands and head movement like that with that. I don't know. It was just I just kind of gel with it well, and I really enjoyed wrestling in particular.
That's awesome. It reminds me, man, it's funny to hear you say that, because what you just talked about reminded me of something you said earlier, how for you as a boxer, when this guy comes out super wild and unorthodox, it's like, man, I haven't seen this in a long time. Like your wrestling was probably like that to them. Like, we've never seen somebody wrestle like this. Like, he's not doing the fundamental things,
Exactly. Yeah. Moving around, kind of, trying to throw them off, pivoting around, and shooting, and obviously there's a really good technique. Fundamentals are gonna surpass just an unorthodox style, but definitely in the beginning you're like, well, this is unorthodox.
Yeah. It's cool to see kind of you develop that hybrid style, I guess you could call it. I'm not sure what you call it exactly, but that conversation in general is always, it's so interesting to me, man, because I was talking to Cody Garbrandt years ago, and he was talking about how some of his this was like in the very beginning of his UFC run, and he was talking about how some of his amateur fights were actually harder for him than some of his pro fights, and especially those early UFC fights, because of exactly what you said. He's like, I've been boxing my whole life, and these dudes are doing things that I've never seen. Like, I boxed a very particular professional way my whole life. So
Right.
when these guys start coming out and they're very unorthodox, they're throwing weird strikes from weird angles. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't how you fight. And that actually makes it harder for somebody who's been training a certain way, like you and like Cody was early on. So that always stuck with me when he said that. So I think it's pretty cool that you acknowledge that as well. I mean, it's a weird thing, right? Like, it's kind of an X factor, but as you go up the ranks, that kind of starts to disappear a little bit. Like, that gets taught out of guys. Is there like, can you even teach that? Is there a value to somehow teaching an unorthodox style?
Yeah, I mean, it's I would say a lot of it comes with I guess as you progress in a sport, a lot of stuff that you did that's unorthodox, there's a high risk involved. So I think it's a kind of a risk analysis.
Mhm.
Maybe I could come wild and swing, but now I'm leaving myself open to get countered. Like in the amateurs, a lot of guys in the amateur boxing, when especially younger, they come out swinging, and they don't get countered as much. Maybe the guy gets flustered, he starts swinging back, and it becomes a brawl. As you get more advanced, maybe you throw a wild shot, the guy steps back and he counters over the top. So now you're thinking, I can't be so careless with my shot. And now the guys hit harder, they're faster. Every shot's going to make a difference, and that's why in the pros, sometimes in boxing, you see a lot of guys just, standing toe to toe and no one's throwing a punch because no one wants to make that first mistake.
Right.
So as you progress, there's definitely, you're thinking 3 steps ahead. Both guys are thinking 3 steps ahead, and no one wants to make that careless mistake. Whereas in the beginning, you're not even thinking any steps ahead, and you're just like, I'm just gonna go try to knock this guy out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I think, as you progress in your career and as the talent gets better, those unorthodox mistakes kind of get washed out. And sometimes, it could catch someone off guard if you kind of throw that in there. So in a way, it's always that I've always had the mindset of really learning the technical side first, the fundamentals, and
Right.
then you kind of do something unorthodox, maybe like a Superman punch or something. But if you kind of learn that, you kind of learn those unorthodox things in the beginning, and your fundamentals are not sound, it could be a high price to pay if you miss or you leave yourself open. So that's kind of where what I think about kind of
Nice.
unorthodox.
For sure, dude. Is the rest of the MMA game as fun to you to learn? Kicks, jujitsu, is all of that as fun as wrestling and boxing to you, or do you want to be kind of a wrestle boxer? Like, how do you see your style developing over the years?
For me, I think my coaches, and man, they make it awesome, like really fun to Coach Marcel, Coach Marcel teaching jujitsu. I mean, he's such a good coach in the way he kind of maybe he'll teach you one thing and then teach you another thing. He won't tell you how they connect, and then you'll get in a move and he'll just look at you and you're like, oh my god, all right, you told me
Nice.
that, and then you start piecing the puzzle together. And so that's really fun, to kind of see stuff like that kind of coming together. And then my other coach, Coach Ton, um, he's I mean, he really will make you work. Like when he holds pads, it's very tough. So it may be discouraging for a lot of people in the beginning, but when you see the reward, you see yourself getting shape and stuff like that, you appreciate it. So I definitely appreciate, the 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 aspect that he brings to our training. And yeah, just the kicking and stuff like that, man. It's very different for me. Even I would say sometimes more than wrestling, because in boxing it's all about really keeping a solid base, and every movement you never want to be off balance. You always want to always be able to shoot a punch at any second. So for me to then have to get off one leg and it's almost harder to learn, and but for me, like a challenge like that is exciting, and it opens the doors, seeing a lot of different counters. Like instead of a step back right hand, step back kick, it kind of opens the doors, and that's always fun to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some kind of crazy kicks every now and then. We just for fun go over. Obviously that's fun, but yeah, I enjoy it all. I enjoy piecing it all together. And
Nice.
yeah.
So we won't be seeing any, spinning wheel kicks from you for a while inside the cage, at least.
Hey, Mike.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, if I would have said that my first fight, I would have finished the guy with submission. If I could have guessed that, I would have been lying if I said I thought that would have happened. So who knows? I've been working it a lot, so a lot of kicks. So
Nice.
I could definitely add that in.
Do you train in the gi, or is it mostly no gi, or how do you do it?
We do a little bit of both, but a lot of times no gi. But yeah, we have gi days, no gi days. Um, aside from our trainings, we also our coaches teach classes as well,
Mm-hmm.
just strictly jujitsu classes, and we have all guys from all over, and ladies. We have a few ladies guys all over come, and they have practice almost every night, and they have gi days, no gi days. So sometimes I'll join in on those practices, just to get a different feel.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I think for anybody listening, ATT, American Top Team, Happy Valley there. I don't know, is that technically state college, or is it called Pleasant Gap? It's not really state college, is it?
Pleasant Gap is pretty much state college. It's just
Yeah, right.
right there. It's right by the mall.
Yeah.
It's right by Walmart and Sam's Club, right there. And then you drive about 5 minutes over. There's Pleasant Gap.
Cool.
So it's kind of right on the border between State College and Pleasant Gap.
Yeah, just definitely wanted to give a shout out for that, for anybody in that region looking to start training, because as Moose has talked about, man, the coaching there is phenomenal. The level of competition and sparring partners and training partners there is unbelievable. I think you guys are doing something super special there. When we were down, we visited, me, the owner, Ryan, and our matchmaker, Jim Mooney. We visited a couple months ago, and I was personally just blown away, man. Like for a brand new gym, that place is freaking beautiful, and what you guys are doing there is really special. So I think it's crazy for you, for Bo, for all these guys, coming out of elite college athletic careers, transitioning to MMA. It's like, that's got to be heaven for you guys, right? That's like the perfect way to do it.
Oh yeah, it's a brand new facility. There's obviously we have our training, and obviously that's great. I mean, I think some of the best coaches in the world. Without a doubt, best training partners you could ask for, and then the other classes that we offer, and the same coaches teach those classes. So, when you come to American Top Team, you're not just getting a jiu-jitsu class, you're getting a jiu-jitsu class with, Coach Marcel, or you're getting a jiu-jitsu, or you're getting a Muay Thai class from Coach Tun. And, I teach boxing 3 days a week. So you're getting coached up by some of the best. And that means a lot, because there's many ways to learn something, and whether it's jiu-jitsu, boxing, wrestling, there's a trillion different ways you can learn it, and to learn it from the best, that's really like a privilege.
It's huge.
I would recommend anyone who wants to learn, anyone who has any desire to learn boxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, self-defense. If you want to, kind of get involved with any of that, I would 100% stop by.
No doubt, man. I mean, just the name, American Top Team, everybody who follows MMA at all knows what that name means. And this affiliate in Happy Valley for sure carries on that tradition that you would expect the quality to be of American Top Team. So I know Bo has trained down in Coconut Creek a lot. Is that kind of like, is there an open invite for you guys? Like if you ever wanted to go down there, could you just pop into a class, or is there a connection there?
Yeah, I believe there's definitely a connection between just through American Top Team, and then Bo has connection with a lot of coaches down there. So does our coaches. They have a kind of an open door with a lot of those coaches down there. So, and sometimes the guys from there will maybe come here and we'll go up there sometime. So yeah, it's kind of obviously we're an affiliate, but definitely we can
Same
train.
family.
They can come down here and train, and it's a big family.
Right. That's crazy, man. I love, like I said, multiple times, I just love what you guys are doing there. I think the quality of fighter is going to be very evident. You guys are all still so young in your careers, which is the really cool part, is that we're kind of at a place where we can watch your careers really take shape and how it's going to plan out. And you mentioned Bo kind of having a map and outline that he was sharing with you kind of for his career, which made me wonder, where do you want to go with your career? How do you see this play out? What kind of speed do you want to take it at? How are you mapping out your MMA career?
Yeah, I right now obviously just kind of put everything together, develop that style, take all the years of boxing that I've done, kind of start gearing it more towards MMA. Obviously, build my wrestling skills and repertoire, and then also the jiu-jitsu, and then just start to put that game together. And while doing that, obviously get a handful of amateur fights just to build that experience. I think that's sometimes one of the most important things, just to have that experience. So hopefully, get a handful of amateur fights till I really feel comfortable with my style, and then hopefully try to turn pro.
That's perfect. And I know we texted about this a little bit. I didn't want to just, bring it up on the podcast out of nowhere, but Moose was actually planning to fight for us on February 5th at Brawl in the Berg 10. So this is kind of why we're talking, why he's on the podcast. If anybody's like, why this guy from Happy Valley? But besides the fact that he's in Pennsylvania doing great things, he was actually going to fight for us February 5th, but unfortunately had a little bit of a setback and may need a little procedure to get tuned up before he's ready to roll, man. I can't, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, which is usually what I do, all the time. Like I always try to say, like, what are they feeling? What are they going through before I react to it? And like for you, man, just starting out, coming off that huge win, like what a terrible time, right? To need a procedure and not be able to just continue your career and keep that momentum rolling. Like, how are you going to deal with this time off and this little pause? Because I know you're ready to go.
Yeah, for me, I feel best when I'm active. Even when I was boxing, as soon as the fight ends, I'm like, if they would put another fight right in front of me right now, this would be the best time, because obviously your adrenaline's going. You're like, I can take on anyone.
Yeah.
And, but so I had that one fight, and then obviously you came to me with that opportunity, and I was like, let's do this. Let's keep the ball rolling. Maybe take a month or two in between and just keep it going. So when I had when I understood I had to get this surgery, obviously it's unfortunate, but I've had setbacks in my life all the time, and I tend to not look at the negative side of it, and just tend to look at the positive. So for me, it's a chance to obviously the surgery will help me physically, but also the time off will allow me to really recover, and it shouldn't be too much time off to where I can't start running and doing things like that, and focusing on other things that I can work on, maybe hit the weight room and things like that before I can start getting back into sparring, and then hopefully right after I'm cleared to go, hopefully just start fighting again.
Yeah, that'd be sick, man. And I mean, we do, I'm just going to throw it out there. We have May 14th in Johnstown. If everything goes perfectly, I think Johnstown is obviously a perfect fit for you guys, for your whole team. That's right down the road. You said you used to train there a lot, you used to box there a lot. So you guys, I think ATT Happy Valley could absolutely do work at a Johnstown show.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. We used to go out there all the time and, box some of the guys out there. They had like a warehouse where they trained. They had some good work out there, so it's close to home. I'm sure we can get a big showing from the home crowd. But that'd be awesome. I mean, hopefully everything goes well and I'll be ready to go by then. If not, then bring the next one on.
Definitely, man. You mentioned, hitting the weight room, which made me think of something I saw. You boxed at 175, I believe, in college. And I saw this graphic. I forget where I even saw it, but I was just kind of doing my research, doing my private detective stuff for you. But I saw this graphic, and the question was the most weight you ever cut, and it said 10 pounds, which is an extremely low amount by MMA standards. Do you think that, like, you're fighting at welterweight, do you expect to get a little heavier than 180 in your off time and cut down, or do you want to kind of just stay in that 180 range?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for now, I guess the weight cut for me is not a huge concern. I more so I think that the technique and everything like that plays a much bigger factor at this stage than weight. So that's kind of where I'm really focusing on. My last fight, I fought at 175. The last MMA fight was 175, and the guy came in like 175. I came in like 171 or 171 or two with my hoodie and pants on. So I was
That's
much
funny.
lighter. I was much lighter than him, but obviously the technique and the skill it was superior. But so I think that's my main focus. But as I get, as I go on and hopefully turn pro, that's definitely something that I'll have to talk about with my coaches. My coach Ton, he says I'm a 155, but I don't necessarily like to cut it as much weight. When I boxed, it was same day weigh in, and when we had nationals or regionals, it was you fought every day. So when you fight every day, you get a pound, but you could not cut 20 pounds and be able to survive. You had to kind of be somewhere on weight. So it's a much different game now that you have a day, or so, maybe a little more at some events, but you have a little bit of time to recover, get your water weight back, and kind of get your everything replenished. So it's a little bit of a different game. So I'll just have to talk with my coaches and just see what's best. But for right now, I'm about a 170er.
Dude, that's an interesting conversation, I think, because we see a lot of guys back in the day, like 2008, 9, 10. I remember when the UFC was like in its heyday, the thinking was, be as huge as possible. Like Brock Lesnar came, and then every heavyweight wanted to be 265, wanted to push the limit. And then that just trickled down. Everybody wanted to be as big as possible for their weight class. But
Yeah.
now it seems like guys are fighting a lot closer to their natural kind of walk around weight. And we've seen guys, Dustin Poirier moves up in weight and has way more success. Robert Whitaker's another guy, moves up in weight, has way more success. We see guys now kind of understanding that maybe it's not always about cutting the most weight, but being the healthiest, best version of yourself. And if that's you at 170, then that's you at 170. You say you weighed in at 171 wearing some clothes. Did you cut weight at all, or was that just what you weighed at the time?
Yeah, I really didn't cut weight at all. I mean, I was already actually I was trying to gain weight. To be honest, we were at American Top Team, and Bo was kind of he just had a he was gradually cutting and kind of tapering down. I was trying to gradually
That's
increase,
crazy.
kind of meet that way. My guy came in. They asked if I could fight him a little bigger, so it was okay. But he I try to close that gap down a little bit. But even with that, and we were kind of training, and the training wasn't crazy the last couple of days because obviously you're kind of tapering the training down, but just I still wasn't gaining too much. But if I will stay at 170, I'll hit the weight room and kind of put a little bit of weight just to take down that water weight. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think for me it's the bigger issue for me, or what I think is my priority, is my mental state going into the fight. And if I'm miserable and cutting weight and I don't mentally feel my best, I think that plays a bigger factor than if I was a lot bigger and I cut down, but I felt like garbage,
Right.
because then I think mental is almost more than the physical. a lot of times, because if your mind doesn't tell your body to do it, you'll just stand there.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's the bigger issue.
That's obviously you hear so many quotes, so many cliches, fighting's 90% mental, 99% mental, however they usually say it, but it's absolutely true, man. That's what everybody I've ever talked to in this space will tell you that. And it's interesting, coming from your background, your distinguished boxing background, I assume being in those big moments on the big stage, you've fought under pressure many times, but how much different was it making that walk for MMA for the first time, knowing, this is a brand new sport, almost anything can happen in there? Like, how different did it feel from you versus, say, one of your national championship bids?
Yeah, it was, I mean, obviously there's a lot that carries over. I say to myself, I've been here before, and I have, so it was, there's a lot that, carried over, but in a way it was a crazy experience. It was pretty surreal. I mean, just hearing, it's just much different. I mean, even just walking out with no shoes, feel the cold ground. It's just, there's little things that you don't think of that, I've been boxing for so long that there's little things that I'm used to that were just totally different, or even just the wraps, the way they were wrapping my hands, and I was, going back and forth with them, making sure they do it certain ways, but they, just the way they were, you have those gloves and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, and there was a funny part of it where there were, in the beginning, when the official was pretty much giving us the rules and the regulations and everything, and it was I remember just hearing him talk and just think, like, this is nuts. He was like, flying knees, I mean, I can't say exactly what he was saying, but he's like, I won't stop this fight until someone, either it goes to the judges or someone is incapable of fighting anymore, and so I'm just, it was funny. I remember just in that moment, like, just laughing, like, this is nuts. At the same time, I was like, let's get it.
It's exciting, right? I mean, how cool was it to be alongside Bo? And I think Bo had already won once before that, right? He was 1-0 on the card you guys fought at. So what was it like having him with you? And he already went through it once, so I'm sure he was helping you through it too.
Yeah, it's always great to have a teammate, especially traveling to fight. It's always great to have a teammate. I know I talked to him, and he said it was a lot better for him when I was there the second time, just having someone to hang out with and train with and go out there and fight with, because you have a team, you have someone else going out there. It's almost it's like a brotherhood. Your homie's gonna go out there and fight, and then you're gonna go out there and fight as well. And the fighting can be a lonely sport.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of create a team atmosphere around that. I remember I played football in high school, and there was obviously nerves and things like that, but going into a football game and all your boys are right there ready to go to war with you, you're fired up. And you have to do your part.
Yeah.
So in the same way, it's like, I'm gonna go out there and fight, and Bo's gonna go out there and put his body on the line and fight. So we're gonna go out there and do our thing.
Nice. What position did you play in football?
I was a quarterback. Played quarterback.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah.
There you go. Are you an Eagles fan? I feel like I shouldn't ask, but
yeah, I am an Eagles fan.
Damn, the podcast was going so well until we found out he was an Eagles fan. But no. Yeah, we're Steelers guys out here, man. It's like
I actually grew up like the Steelers. I when my dad made me pick a favorite team, he was like, "You gotta pick your favorite team. You can't keep
right
circles." And I remember I was just waiting for the bus, and I remember seeing this magazine with I think it was the Steelers just beat the Ravens in the Super Bowl. And I was like, all right, you know what? Steelers is my team. So in a way, you could say that.
That's awesome. Hey, we'll count it. I'll take it, man. But I wanted to circle back to something here, because you said something really interesting about when they were wrapping your hands, like it was important to you that they wrapped them the right way. And I'm going to share my screen again because this was crazy, man. You were telling me about this on text, but I'm going to just let you explain this for everybody at home. Moose was a little business guy in college. This is awesome. So I don't know. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Take it away.
Yeah. So this is my company FNBX, and this is one of our MMA / boxing products, and it's basically just a hand wrap case / roller. For me, in college, actually all my life when I was fighting, or training, I would train, and after that I would have to roll my hands up or roll my hand wraps up by hand, and it was so tedious. And obviously you just train, you're sweaty, you just want to ball the wraps up and throw them in your bag, and obviously, but then the next day comes around and now you have sweaty wraps and you have them all wrinkled up, and then when you go to wrap them, they're tough to wrap and it takes forever. So I was like, you know what, I need to make something that can, it's portable. You can, roll it up really quickly, can store them. And so my sophomore year, actually a little bit before then we started the company, but my sophomore year we came up with this product, me and my business partner. And I had one day of practice, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make something to solve this problem. And I just remember going to the library and reading books on plastic engineering, and they call it it's like plastic thermodynamic, like pores and stuff to test if the mold's gonna work. And I learned SolidWorks, the software, it's like a 3D modeling software. Taught myself SolidWorks, and that whole, I spent months straight just kind of staying up and studying, and finally designed this product, sent it to a manufacturer. They were like, yeah, this is a feasible design. I paid for a mold, and they started manufacturing them. So I have one right here.
Nice. Had it ready. Oh, that's sick.
So you just rolls it right up.
That's beautiful. Dude, like as you're talking about that, obviously, nice. Look at that. Anybody listening, understands, I think, how impressive that is, dude. When I was in college, when I was a sophomore in college, I was drinking beer, eating terrible foods, and playing video games. Like, never once did I go to the library and think, you know what, I'm gonna like solve a real problem in my life today, and I'm gonna learn how to do it at the library. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, where did that? There's obviously something about you. You mentioned, obviously your boxing career, how you fell headfirst into wrestling now, how seriously you're taking MMA. Obviously, there's something about you that's extremely driven. Like, where did that come from for you? Why? Most guys, when they have a problem, they just buy something. They don't think, how can I fix this for myself with a brand new product? You know what I mean? That's unusual.
Yeah.
Like, where did that come from?
I don't know, man. I kind of always just had that. I kind of always had that eye for, I always, even when I was younger, man, I'm going to be an inventor.
Nice.
I used to mess with things and try to create little things. But, basically the company started my freshman year with my buddy. His name's Alejandro. He was a fencer. He was a fencer for Penn State.
Nice.
And I was a boxer. And so we combined our names together and called it FemBox. And then it's abbreviated FNBX. And so, the first product we were working on, which is we have a patent on, and it's going to be done soon, was another problem I had, which was, all my life you hear your boxing coach saying, keep your hands up, and the guys start to drop their hands. So basically, it's a headband with sensors on it, and when you raise your hand, when you raise your hand, it does nothing. When you start to drop it, it alerts you. You hear a beep. So then you got to pick your hands right back up. Dude. So, that we started working on that product, and then from then I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do as a career. I want to design products and make them into a reality, solve a problem. So from then, we designed the basketball product that we currently are selling on the website. forces like a follow through when you shoot.
Yep.
So we have that product, and then sophomore year of college came around. It was a problem that I've always had. Like the messy hand wraps and stuff, and I just remember being in our facility, like, and I was like rolling it up by hand, and I'm like, dude, what am I doing, man? Like I need to make something for this, and I remember telling someone like, yo, I'm gonna have a product done in a month or so, and they're like, all right, yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, all right. So then I just step by step, just like just start Googling stuff, like
Yeah.
how can I, started drawing the design. How can I design this? All right, this software called SolidWorks. All right, I have to design this now. There's all kinds of stuff that, you don't even think of. Like there's a hinge right here. It's just a plastic hinge. And, maybe it's like they have it on ketchup bottles and stuff like that, but you never think of that, how is this made? How is this designed? And so then each separate part, I had to then go back like, oh man, I got to now learn how to make they call it a living hinge design. So then I had to study that, the dimensions to that, and the plastic properties to make it fold upon itself and not crack. And so it was just a never-ending process, but that devotion to just get to the end and get the product done just stuck with me. So I just kept grinding, and finally seeing that final product, I'm like, let's go,
dude.
yeah.
It's insanely impressive, man. Are they all over ATT Happy Valley? Is that the only way you guys wrap hands there?
Yeah, for the most part, I give them to the guys out there. Whoever comes and trains, I'll hook them up with one.
Nice. That's great, man. And
Once
obviously,
you use it, you'll never go back to rolling your reps.
dude.
I think yesterday I gave this one to someone, not this one, but I gave the one I used to a guy that came to the gym. He's training with us. I gave it to him, and as soon as after I gave it to him, I was like, dang. I was like, yo, can I borrow that? I gotta wrap my hands. I gotta roll my hand wraps up.
You just can't do it the old-fashioned way now. You've ruined hand wrapping for yourself.
Yeah.
But in a good way. You've completely improved it, actually, which is incredible, man. So I think you mentioned it earlier, to where, you have this company and it allows you to train a little more without having to worry, like you were saying, you're making income other ways. So I think that's huge, man. Did you think about that actively as you were developing it? Were you like, this could, be supplemental income, this could be my income? Or did you literally just want to solve that problem at the time and never really think of it as a career, so to speak?
A little bit of both. I mean, the first problem that we try to solve, and the first product we made, just came from, I was a freshman in college, and I'm not even thinking about making money. I'm thinking
Right.
about, but still that drive to make something and make it a reality, stuck with me. So, we were designing this product, but obviously, and the product after that was the basketball product, the Flick Glove. I have a funny story about the Flick Glove. It was we were designing the product with the boxing product for keeping your hands up, and we basically, there's a lot of certifications you have to get to sell a tech product, basically, or electronic products. Obviously you want it to be safe with the battery or anything in there. So there's a lot of stuff you have to do. So I was like, man, you know what? I gotta try to make a product in the meantime. So we're not sitting around doing nothing, waiting for these certificates and stuff. So certification. So I thought, I used to play basketball for fun, and I'm like, I started asking, trainers and stuff, what's a problem, like, or I asked him, can you show me how to shoot a basketball? And he started outlining the steps. And the one thing he was talking about was a follow through in your shot and shooting the ball, or when you shoot the ball, creating a backspin. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna make a product to help with this. And then so I came up with the same thing. I did like a little design on like a 3D software program, and I had no money at the time at all. So what I did was, I was like, all right, I gotta figure this out somehow. So what I did was I went to the library, and I 3D printed like the molds, like the negative indents of the shape of the product. and I then bought this silicone. So between classes, I'm pouring a bunch of silicone into all these molds, like
Oh my God.
pouring the silicone into these molds. And my roommate at the time, he was also a boxer. He was coming pissed. He's like, dude, man, like you're making a mess, man. Like, and he was a Marine guy. So obviously he wanted everything a certain way. He's
Sure.
like, dude, this is disgusting, man. Like I'm like, bro, like just give me like an hour. Like once it cures, like the silicone just gonna be able to rip right up. Like don't even worry about it. Like just give me an hour. Like, and it's right on the kitchen table.
Oh, man.
And but then when it was finished, I'd squeegee it off, pull out the little things, and package them myself. We were sending them out in like FedEx. And then after a while, people were selling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And before you know it, we're able to save enough money to then get a mold done. Pay a couple grand to get a professional mold done in a factory. And then from then on, they made it. They're able to make it themselves. So from then, I had some income, and I started working on this other product, pay for the mold for that product. And so yeah, man, it's just that was the story of the Flick Love. But yeah, now it allows me to with that product and some other products, just it gives me that freedom to train and not have to work and things like that.
That's freaking nuts, man. Kudos to you for putting in that work. Like you said, literally pouring the silicone molds in your apartment, FedExing it all yourself. Like, dude, it's a grind for sure. Like, and as you said, it's paying off for you now. So it makes a lot of sense now, and also allows you to develop these new products that are literally relevant for your own career, which is, I think, that intersection of, passion and business is where things get really special. So it's like you're right in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and definitely, plan on continuing fighting and making those connections. And I think it just goes hand in hand. Kind of, that's why I really like this sport. You get to meet a lot of people, a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different specialties and experiences, and you get to make those connections and kind of help each other out.
For sure. And just to show you guys how inventive he is, I wanted to share one more thing from your Instagram. This is going to be a surprise for you, but this is awesome. All right, let's cue it up. The best gender reveal I've ever seen in my life. We got to play this for you.
Yeah, they had the music playing. Boom. Let's go. And that's when I knew Moses was.
That's so cool, man. Obviously, huge moment for you and your family. I love people in the background yelling blue, blue, and having a son obviously meant a lot to you. With that was just an awesome gender reveal, man. Kudos to that. Who thought of that?
Thank you, man. I think my wife did. My wife definitely did. She and I kind of just went overboard with it, with and running around and playing the music.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes.
That's fun, dude. I thought that was awesome. I saw that. I was like, man, that's the most, like, if you're a boxer, that's the coolest gender reveal ever. That's way cooler than, I don't know, whatever people usually do, just breaking a balloon out in a field or whatever. Like that was cool.
Yeah, that guy in the video, he's the one that was getting on me about the silicone. Ian.
Nice.
Crazy dude. He actually boxes for the Marine Academy right now.
That's great. That's cool, man, that you've made all those connections. You've obviously done a lot. And the best part of it, at least, from my perspective, I'm sure from your perspective, is this is the beginning for you. Like, you've done so much already. It seems like you've made so many connections, so many inroads, both in business and fighting. But dude, this is totally the beginning for you. So obviously we're super excited to see where it goes from here. Whether if you end up fighting for us, obviously we would absolutely love that. If not, we're going to support you all the same, man. Your career is super interesting, and we hope to get you in the cage soon.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I appreciate you inviting me on, and also just giving me and our guys the opportunity to fight in the future, and we definitely would love. Unfortunately, couldn't fight on this card. I think we have maybe one guy that trains with us.
Mm-hmm.
He might be fighting, but so I'll definitely come and support him. But
nice.
Other than that, hopefully in the future, I definitely love to come out and fight.
For sure. Yeah, Mike Kojanchik, Kojo, is on the card. So he trains at ATT Happy Valley a little bit, as well as React BJJ. So he's good, man. We've had him before, actually. He actually lost his MMA debut on our card, but fought a super tough guy, Jay Manning, and took him to a decision. A lot of people thought that he was like super outmatched in that, honestly, but he showed up and was awesome. Like, we actually, Ryan and I, our owner, we were just talking about this the other day. It was like, dude, Kojo actually like raised his stock in a loss. Like, most people, that usually doesn't happen, but he still lost the decision. But everybody that watched it that was like in tune with it was like, dude, Kojo is super legit. Like, that, he made that a way closer fight than most people thought. So we're excited to see what he's got up his sleeve. And obviously you and your return. I mean, you get the submission, I hear this all the time. Like, wrestlers will get a knockout and then they think that they just want to knock everybody out, right? Like, they forget that they're wrestlers. Do you have like an itch to just submit people now? Like, did that give you the bug to just go out and start choking dudes?
I don't know. I think it's the opposite. I'm like, I didn't get a knockout yet. I'm like, Bo got a knockout. I'm like, damn, I'm the boxer and I didn't even get a knockout. Come on, I gotta step my game up.
Getting outboxed.
It was good to, it was just good to have a validation of all the training and have a guy shoot and be able to handle that, and obviously finish with the submission. Obviously that was big. So but going forward, every fight's just another fight, and take it step by step as the fight progresses. Wherever it has to go, that's where it has to go. But you kind of go in with a game plan. And for me, obviously, I have a background in boxing. Obviously, that's going to play a huge role in how I fight. But I have, with all the guys and my coaches, it just gives me the ability to take the fight wherever it needs to go.
Yeah, we love that, man. Like I said, repeatedly, I feel like throughout this podcast, what you guys are doing there at ATT Happy Valley is just, it's awesome. And it's showing in your performances already, which everybody can, train hard and say they're doing the right things, but they always say, the proof's in the pudding. Like, you guys are going out there and actually showing it in your performances. I think, like you said, Bo getting a knockout, you getting a submission, what else could possibly speak to the level of training better than that? So you guys are doing something really special, man. Like I said, we're super excited for the next step. Hopefully it's for us, of course, but if not, we're still going to see you, like you said, February 5th, supporting your guys. So you'll get to come out to a show, man. I'm excited to see you again. And I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Definitely, man. Have a blessed day.
You too. For sure, man. I can't wait. I'm going to be watching for Little Man's next piano recital too. That's like my number one Instagram watch now.
Crazy, right, man? Still blows my mind. Like, this dude's starting to walk and starting to, like, I don't know, have some expressions. And I'm like, dang, dude, I got a human now, But it's also crazy. He's starting to walk around and touch outlets, and obviously you got to cover everything up and baby-proof the house. And now it's like, dang, this is legit. But
yeah, you got it, man. You're creating companies as a freshman in college. You're coming out submitting dudes as a boxer in your MMA debut. I think you can handle fatherhood. You got this.
Definitely.
All right, man. Thanks again. We'll chat soon.
All right.
All right. Later, brother.